So guys, previously we have discussed about the electrical earthings and grounding. If you have any questions, just drop on the comment sections and I will respond to you. Now we will discuss the underground and overhead services, occupational health and safety minimum acceptable standard in the constructions. So let's begin. Minimum requirements. More one rules legal or contractual requirements shall always take precedence. General requirements for the underground and overhead services. Routes of underground shall be determined and clearly marked before commencing any ground driving on the ground or penetration on the ground. So why we need to identify or determine the routes of underground services is to avoid of being hit the underground services. Overhead services, example, high voltage electricity wires shall be considered prior to any works in the area where a risk of contact has been assessed and identified. Trial holes and or condition surveys shall be conducted along the length of any underground penetration or any ground penetrations to establish routes of existing underground services. I will show you some sketch on the later part of this tutorial or slides. Where work area close to live overhead services is unavoidable, all plant must be fitted with limiting devices to prevent any part of the plant entering the exclusion zones established during the risk assessment process. So it's also discussed in the lifting operations for mobile crane and cranes. The same procedures. You need to provide exclusion zones or establish exclusion zones so that your equipment or any part of the plant will not go beyond on that exclusion zones. Or as best practice, you can also provide limiting devices. So even the operator wish to go beyond of that exclusion zone, it will not go there because there is limiting devices that will not or that will automatically stop the movement of your equipment when it will going beyond the exclusion zones. And of course, it should be determined in the risk assessment process. Use of cable avoidance tool or CAT. So this is we call it the cable detector. Prior to any ground penetrations, excavations, filling, trial, trench, or leveling of the ground shall be first checked for underground services using a tested and certified cable avoidance tools or CAT scanner. The scanner will only be used by a trained, competent persons familiar with the type of scanner. So if you buy the cable avoidance tool, so you can request from the supplier to give your electrician or any people who wish to manage that CAT scanner on the site. You can request from them to give training for your personnel. Any services detected shall be clearly marked on related drawings and indicated on the excavation permit. So when you detected any services, make sure that your drawings or any related drawings like as-built drawing is updated and reflect the new services that being detected. And also please indicate also in the excavation permit so that when there is when they are doing excavation, they can they know that there is underground services on that locations. And of course, this is to avoid hitting underground services. Service direction and path shall be clearly marked with pegs or marker spray. So Yeah, they can use marker spray or pegs or sand to make markings on the ground where the direction of the services or the path of the services is going. So you can put any signage that location, so that the excavation they will not hit your underground services. The presence of the services will be pre-briefed to the task team members. So before they start the job, excavation of the area, uh, make sure that the services location is there fully discussed with the team members, so that they are aware that there is underground services on the same location. The limitations of CAT scanner should be considered. So you cannot rely all the times. There is a scanner that you can use on the plastic gas water pipes, fiber optic cable, etc. There is a scanner that you can use. It's composed of two machines together. You will use together, but sometimes your cable scanner only is for cable scan only. So always check the limitation of your scanner, and also make sure, like for example, fiber optics, the cable is very costly cable, but it cannot be detected by scanners, CAT scanner. So always check the limitations of your CAT scanner. It is always better to conduct a trial trench by carefully digging the ground, okay, before even you have already scanned the area. So here one example of the CAT scanner. As you can see here, the long one is the scanner, and this is the small one is the relay to the scanner. So this type of CAT scanner can detect even pipes, because there is this the small one is the relay that will give signal to the main equipment that there is underground services, even this is not energized. Okay, so but usually the CAT scanner is only a single equipment like this, the long one on the left side. So when you are doing penetration underground, you might be hit the cable underneath. So be careful of using steel or steel rods when you are doing it. So we have one incident in the site when they hit the underground services around 5 kilovolts. Imagine it's explode immediately, and all the people were shocked on that location. So the issue is when they scan it, they know that the cable is going in one direction only, but they don't know that that cable is previously looped on that location. They make a roll and buried the cable on that locations. So they hit some part of the cable, energized cable with 5 kilovolts, and immediately it's give a explosion to the equipment. So this is even they use the pointed pickaxe tools to excavate the ground. It hit the cable. Even this is armored cable, it can penetrate the copper or the inside of the cable. So it is always better use non-metallic marker when you are doing driving a marker on the ground. So you can see here on the right photographs on below, you can see there is paint on the ground, indicating that between that two parallel painted white on the ground, there is a cable inside of that area. So on that purpose, you can warn your team members that there is a cable on that locations. So they will avoid, or they will take extra caution when they are doing exposing the underground services on that locations. Exposing underground services. Any identified services shall be exposed by hand digging method only, primarily using round edge shape spades. Round edge spades. So don't use pointed, as you can see on the right photographs on the above. They are using the pickaxe. This is very dangerous on the underground services. Spades to be used in horizontal action rather than vertical to reduce risk of cable damage. So when they are using the spades, they will use it on horizontal action only, not directly vertical to the ground, so that it will be limiting the excavating the soil when the worker is using it on the ground. If ground is hard, picks to be used in horizontal action. Okay, sometimes you can use the pickaxe, but in horizontal action, don't make it straight down. Okay. No mechanical digging within 1.5 meters of any identified services. So within 1.5 of any identified services, avoid mechanical digging. Okay, as much as possible, you must use only hand digging to expose these underground services. Service positions and depth indicated on existing utility drawing shall not be assumed to be correct, as these are often inaccurate. Okay, so in the drawing you can see that the service position, the depth is around 2 meters. So you are very confident to excavate that within 2 meters you will not hit the cable, but in reality, in the site, you can see sometimes the cable is going on the 50 centimeters from the ground surface, and sometimes it's 1 meter from the ground surface, because of the, when they are doing laying the cables on the ground, sometimes it is not checked by engineer, and they already backfill this on the ground, or sometimes they are in a hurry, so they already backfill this, or sometimes the ground is very hard, so they are not making the appropriate depth for that cable. So don't assume that the drawing and the dimension of the excavation or the depth of the cable and position of the cable is correct. So always treat this as inaccurate, so that you will avoid to hit the cable. Any services discovered which is not shown in any utility drawing must be assumed as live. So when you found any cable on the ground, so unless it was declared as dead by the competent person using their tools, so assume this one is live. Don't make a guess. So it might be now this is dead because of the power shutdown or water supply shutdown, but after sometimes the utility companies, they will own that location down so that it will become energized. So always coordinate with your MEP department or electrical department to check with the utility services that this cable is dead. So unless they did not unless they did not confirm that this is dead, so don't assume that this is dead. So always assume that the cable is live. Existing utility marker tape may not be present or at correct depth, so must not be regarded as true indication of the service. sometimes, as you can see, the yellow color on the photographs directly above the utility services, there is some tape marker also buried in line with the utility services. But sometimes the depth of this utility marker tape is not correct. So, and also sometimes it's not present. So always extra care. Even there is utility tape marker on that locations, always assume that it might be wrong. So in doing that, you will avoid the hitting the underground services. Marker tape must be replaced on recovering of underground service as per relevant authority specification, even if not originally present. So when you expose underground utility services and you want to backfill again after your job is completed, make sure that you replace the tape marker with the on that location, and even there is no tape marker you found during the excavation, you need to provide a tape marker as per the specification of the utility firm. Protecting exposed underground services. All exposed services must be suitably supported and protected to prevent damage, breaking of cable joints, pipe seals and connections seals, and etc. So as you can see here, you expose or you are crossing on the excavation on the photographs here on the right. You cross on the utility. Your excavation is crossing on the utility to be correct. So you exposed a part of the utility, the buried underground utility, and then you need to provide support so that it will not give stress on that utility when it is hung on that portion of the excavations. So always provide support plus the signage if you identify what is this type of utility. Like for example, if this is pipe lines, provide water pipelines signages. So for this is for the information that there is a water pipes in these locations. Under no circumstances shall any exposed services be allowed to hang without adequate support. So no or zero tolerance. If you expose underground services, make sure that there is adequate support on it. Reporting of underground service damage. All incidents regarding service damage or strike must be reported immediately to the relevant authority and area cleared. These include any pre-existing damage of exposed services. So if, for example, you are doing the digging and you damage or you strike the underground services, so you need to make sure that immediately or to inform the utility owner so that they can take action. They can repair immediately your damaged services so that it will not interrupt the service in the nearby community. Because if you did not inform them, then there is a lot of loss, and maybe your company will be fined on that losses. So immediately inform the relevant authority or the service company or the owner of that utility to make appropriate actions. It is always better to, when you are digging on the ground that you suspected that there is underground utilities there, it is always better to inform before you start the job, coordinate with this relevant authority to make sure that you have a contact with them in case of emergency. So even you found that even you did not damage the existing services, even you did not damage, but you found there is a damage, report it also, so that you will be excused. You will not be blamed that this utility is damaged by your team. So immediately inform the utility services that you found that the underground services is already damaged when you conducting excavation on that location. Under no circumstances should the service be recovered without reporting, regardless of the nature of the damage. So don't make a recovered without reporting. Only the utility companies are authorized to conduct recovery or repair on their utility firm, or if they have accredited contractors to do the repairs for you, but it's always charged to the contractor. No attempt shall be made to repair any damaged services by unauthorized person. So as I discussed, protecting overhead services. So this is for the overhead services. Barriers and goalposts shall be erected to prevent overhead vehicles and cranes from striking overhead services or working plant coming within potential electric arcing distance. So always check what is the safe distance from the utility overhead utilities. So you can see there is a 0 to 50 kilovolts. It's around 4 feet. And as I discussed before about the lifting operation and cranes, there is a distance discussed there. Clear warning signs will be displayed within the immediate area and communicated at safety inductions of personnel. Okay, a safe working distance must be maintained from overhead services. Suitable barriers, goalposts, stop blocks, and signage shall be implemented. The watchman shall be positioned to provide additional controls in the area. Okay. So as you can see here, this is the goalpost. There is some warning signage around the utility service. That means this is the area where the vehicle is passing. So this area is protected area that the vehicle can pass safely, but there is overhead limit for the equipment, so they will not hit the overhead services. So this location is one good example of the protections of the utilities in the area. So this is only the cross section of that location. So you can see a mobile crane set up with a goalpost here, so with a 6-meter distance from the nearest part of the utilities. So this is safe distance from the utilities as per the known voltage of the power lines. So maybe you can provide additional barriers for the movement of the vehicles, and also barriers for the boom extensions of your mobile crane if you are using mobile cranes. Same thing, the goalposts, the barriers, the signages are placed so that the excavator cannot extend their arm beyond of the exclusion zones. Okay guys, I hope that you learned something from me about the minimum occupational health and safety standards, or minimum acceptable standards in the constructions. It is around 22 topics, and all are based on the experience or accidents in the constructions. It was developed by a multinational international company in the UAE, and I saw that 3 largest company in the UAE is already practicing it. So it is always better to copy the the practice of the industry standards to ensure that we will not get the same or similar incident as they experienced before they develop these minimum acceptable standards. And if you can improve, you can also improve to make it suitable for your operations, not only for the constructions but also to some other activities that you can apply these standards. Thank you. I hope you can make some comments if you want to improve these presentations. So please leave your comments and I will try to answer your comments as per my knowledge. Thank you and mabuhay.